I feel like I feel like Marvel catfished me, and I don't like it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and we just got the finale for Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, and I've seen what you have all said about it. I've asked you on Twitter. I've seen it in the comments. Go ahead and still just let me know, now that you've had time to process it a little bit, what you thought about the series as a whole and the series finale. Let me know in the comments. But I've seen a lot of your replies already, and oh my gosh, it's got a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, 13% Rotten Tomato score right now. So I've heard what everybody has said. I've heard the complaints, and I have some of my own. And I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like the first few episodes were so good, and then they completely shifted kind of from the focus. Now, there are a few key scenes that I want to talk about. And there are a lot of parts of the finale that I do enjoy. I do think the fight was cool. The CGI was little in some parts, but I think Marvel kind of slapped us in the face with this finale because they actually went against some of their own principles and some things that they said about the series, which is odd. But let's go ahead and dive into it. First things first, I know everyone's asking the big question, Rhodey. How long has he been a Skrull for? Was it right after Civil War? Was he a Skrull in Infinity War? Was he a Skrull in Avengers Endgame? I think that this would be the biggest slap in the face that you could give us, is if Rhodey truly did, if the Skrull really did swap places with Rhodey right when he got hurt in Civil War. I don't think that's the case, but that might be wishful thinking on my part, me not wanting that to be the case. Because if you think about the final scene for Tony Stark, not the hologram scene when he's alive, Rhodey comes down, puts his hand on his face, kind of gives him that little smirk, that little smile that's like, you did it, but you're about to die. That best friend, like, I'm proud of you, but I'm sad you're about to go. It's really emotional. I get emotional thinking about it. You're just going to negate that if you say that Rhodey's been a Skrull since Civil War. That scene, gone. Right? Gone. Doesn't mean anything. It wasn't Rhodey. That's why I think they're going to keep that. But if they don't, it's going to be a huge slap in the face. An extremely big slap in the face. Now, I want to go into the scene with Fury and Gravik, which isn't Fury and Gravik. It's Gaia and Gravik. And that's the big slap in the face, because in this scene, so much is getting resolved. Like, the feelings are finally coming out. And I was very impressed with Kingsley Ben-Adir's acting in this, because I truly felt Gravik's frustration, his hopelessness, his desire for revenge. Because as Fury, we're going to say Fury because Gravik thinks it's Fury. We know it's Gaia, but we're going to say Fury. As Fury is finally admitting, yes, it's my fault. Yes, I screwed up. You know what? I found out right away. This, plan isn't going to work because there's no other planet out there for you guys to call a home. So it should be the resolve, but there is no resolve between Gravik and Fury. That's my issue. There is none, because Fury never addresses Gravik. It's Gaia. And I know that she has his memories and everything like that, and can kind of relay emotions, but it isn't the same. It's not. And here's my biggest problem with this is, finally, Gravik is getting answers. This was his hero. Fury was his hero. And Fury is finally saying, I'm sorry, I failed you. And Fury says, I realized the only way to find y'all a home was to make one here on Earth. And there's this awesome moment, and you can see it on his face, where Gravik is just like, why didn't you do that? Then why didn't you do that? And you can just tell that he wants more than anything for that to be true. He wants more than anything for Fury to have done that, and for the Skrull to have a place on Earth where they could call home, to where he didn't have to rebel, to where he didn't have to do any of this, to where Fury could have still been his hero. You can tell he wishes that is what happened. And it's this big moment for Gravik, right? That's a vulnerable part, and he's not very vulnerable in this series. And he just looks at him and he's just like, why didn't you do that? And It's not Fury. And I'm just like, this is where I say Marvel kind of contradicted themselves. And the director came out and said, the finale very much is about the resolvement between Gravik and Fury, but it wasn't at all because it wasn't Fury. Technically, Fury and Gravik did not interact in the finale at all. They didn't. It was Gaia and Gravik and then Fury. So we're going to come back to the fight because I actually did enjoy the fight, but let's go to the scene with Fury, Skrull Rhodey, Sonya Falsworth, whoops, and the president. This whole scene could have been done in like a minute, right? Like, I get it. You're building up, like, the president decided, launch the bombs, blah, 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 blah. Falsworth's she's awesome. She comes in, cleans up, somehow knows the exact room and closet that they're going to take the president to on a different floor and is there. And then Fury just kind of comes in a little bit at the end, shoots 2 darts, takes 2 guys out. And then it's like, hey, that guy's a Skrull. And they spend like this entire time going, I'm not a Skrull. That's crazy, President. Shoot him. Fury going, no, Mr. President, shoot him. He's a Skrull. Just shoot him. Why didn't Falsworth just shoot him? Obviously, it would have revealed that he was a Skrull the entire time. Bam, done. Scene's over. Hey, call off the bombs. We don't have much time. For people who say they don't have much time, they really do waste a lot of time. And it's 2 people who usually just shoot people. So I'm like, that's kind of bad writing, I feel. Like, I feel like it's not in character. And like, oh, the president has a gun. If Fury shoots him, he's going to shoot. Like, no, like, look, the president's hurt, probably not trained in combat, probably not going to have a good shot. Shoot the Skrull real quick, grab the gun from the president. Falsworth can do that. She's already shown us her capabilities, right? It just seems like a waste of a scene. I would have rather had Fury interact with Gravik somehow. And don't tell me it's the radiation, because apparently there have been humans in that place being exposed to radiation for a pretty long time. And they seem to be fine. They might have another arm grow out of them eventually, but yeah. So that's my qualm with that scene. And then, so Fury is really like, and this series was about Fury. So I feel like that's not a good ending for Fury. And yeah, we're going into the Marvels, but like, we shouldn't have to rely on that. So Fury's big ending is with his wife. And I don't know how many people care about that, right? Like, I don't care that much. I think it's cool that they showed us that. And I was like, oh, wow, he has a wife. Oh, wow, his wife's a Skrull. Oh, wow, he knows that his wife is a Skrull. But they introduced her in this episode, in this series. And we've known Fury for how long? And I feel like this is a kind of becoming a classic problem for Marvel, unfortunately, where they don't give these characters that they introduce enough time to really develop for us to really care about them. I think that's a big problem, right? Like, I am interested in this relationship between the 2 of them, but in all honesty, we didn't know much about it. And even at some points, it looks like Fury might not even care. Like, of course he cares, but it's like, he was gone for such a long time. He kind of just like abandoned his wife. So he doesn't care. Should we care? Right? Like, it's just pretty weak in terms of any type of wrap up. There really wasn't. And now we just have a lot of questions. And from what I know, Miss Marvel is not going to answer those questions. So I don't know. Those are my qualms with these scenes. But I will say, I did find the fight kind of cool. The CGI was not that good, but it was really cool. I thought it was visually cool to see all these different characters that they were turning into, mostly their arms, right? I'm really kind of over the whole, let's give a character ultimate power without having that character really work for it. That's kind of becoming a thing. It's kind of, Captain Marvel's thing too. It's just like, oh, all of a sudden we're just going to introduce this character and they are going to be the strongest character you have ever seen. We are not going to see them struggle much. Yes, we saw Gaia struggle. She lost her parents. We get that. But again, this was all done very quickly. We have 38-minute episodes and a really quick finale. This would have been really great to see from Gaia if she could have been built up a little bit more. This should have been 9 episodes. And the episode should have been all at least 45 minutes. Then it would have been like, wow, that's really cool. Gaia worked up to her revenge. And now she's one of the strongest. So that's the funny thing, is she is now the strongest character in the galaxy, possibly the universe. right? She has so many powers. Like she is Captain Marvel times 20. I counted 23 different DNAs that they showed us, at least. There could be more. So, what happens then? That's obviously something that's going to be addressed down the road. Again, that's something else that did not get wrapped up that we would like some questions to, but it is nice to know that Emilia Clarke's character is going to be sticking around in the MCU. I thought it would be a waste if they killed her off and Emilia Clarke was just gone because she's fantastic. Overall, the series I thought was pretty good. I just think it finished really weak. It started off strong, like the first few episodes were great, and then it just didn't. I think it has something to do with time. They didn't give them enough time. Like, how are these episodes 30 something minutes long? How did it decrease as it went? And it had a $200 million budget. So I think Marvel Studios is pushing back from the Disney Plus content, and hopefully that means they'll have a little bit more time and money to put towards the Disney Plus shows that they do produce. Hopefully they can be 9 episodes because they need to be longer. All these recent ones we've gotten have seemed really rushed, and I think that's a pretty big problem. But overall, I still like the Disney Plus content. It was fun to watch, and I genuinely enjoyed it mostly. And it finished weak is my only problem. It was some cool stuff to watch. We saw some cool things in it. That final scene really was cool, but it was so short that I feel like we didn't get to live most of it. And that was like the only thing that kind of like was super exciting. The rest of it was kind of just a little lackluster, unfortunately. But again, overall, I enjoyed the series. I thought it was great. But let me know what you all thought. I've seen most of your comments, but go ahead. Let us know your full analysis in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're entered in our giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends items, and some DC items as well. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.